Wait. Do you know the top 6 mistakes you can make financially in your 20s that could ruin your financial freedom in the future? If not, you guys are going to want to listen to all 6 of these where I go through them and tell you how you can avoid them. Hey guys, it's Trey. Welcome to Money Growth Academy, where we demystify entrepreneurship, simplify business strategies, and multiply your earnings potential. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 financial mistakes you can make in your 20s that could possibly ruin your financial freedom later on in life. Number 6, buying a new car. It's a major purchase decision. Most of the time, oftentimes, second to only buying a home. But the difference between buying a home and a new car is the second you drive that car off the lot, it's going to depreciate, guys. So the best thing you can do out there is buy a car in cash and do not buy a new car because it's going to depreciate. So if you can pay for a car in straight cash, that's probably going to be the best option. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Trey, I just graduated from college. I just signed on for $60,000 plus a year. Well, guys, there's a lot of things to take in consideration. First of all, you should probably wait because you need to take care of those student loans you've got first. But that $60,000, let me just break this into perspective for you on the statistics. All right, so here's the stats for you guys. Nearly 44% of American adults are currently paying off a car loan right now. In 2018, the average monthly auto loan payment for a new car in the US, guess, reached an all-time high of $523. That is insane. The average length of an auto loan lasts just over 5 years and 9 months. On average, buyers of new vehicles borrowed $31,453. And that's not even including, you got to factor in insurance, maintenance, fuel costs, parking, all those type of things that have to come in consideration on top of that 523 loan that you just took out. Now, I'm not trying to be the bad guy. I'm not trying to tell you what you can't have, but what I'm trying to help you recognize is a want versus a need. Do you want that car or do you need that car? Can you get another vehicle that could just get you from point A to point B without all the flashy gadgets and whatnot? You probably could. I mean, that's not the thing we want to hear, but I've got a whole video going into depth of a scenario and breaking down a calculation of 3 individuals. Someone who takes out a $523 car payment, someone who takes out a mediocre one around $300, and someone who pays cash for a car. And I go through the example of how much money in the long run that car is going to end up costing, and more than anything, what that's going to mean for their financial freedom. So if you guys want to see that video, you can check out the description. I'm going to put that video in there for you guys to see. All right, guys, before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you can become part of the Money Growth Academy community. You can see the new content that we're pushing out every week to help you guys. Make sure to hit that like button as well. That always gives us a boost and lets us know that you guys like the content that we're creating. Number 5 is not creating a budgeting plan. And I think this is really hard for young people, old people, everyone in general. And I think one of the main reasons is because creating a budgeting plan oftentimes seems like a daunting task to do, to add up all these numbers and these calculations and whatnot. But subconsciously, I believe the real reason we don't do it is because we're afraid of our financial reality. The second we set up that plan, it's going to tell us financially where we are, what we can spend, what we can afford. And I think a lot of us don't want to change our lifestyle or are afraid of coming in contact of what our real financial life should be. But if you use a budgeting plan correctly, it's going to help set you up for financial freedom later on in life. There's a million free templates online that you can choose from. There's apps like YNAB. I know there's free apps like Mint that you can use to help you create a budgeting plan and kind of track your expenses and income. If you don't want to do one of those, you can go ahead and make yourself one on Google Sheets or Excel. And if you're going to do that, let me just point out 6 quick structural tips of a budgeting plan to kind of get you along your way. So number 1 is determine your income. Number 2, determine your fixed expenses. So that's going to be like car insurance, rent, utilities. So number 3 is variable expenses. So that's going to be things like your groceries, your entertainment costs, going out with friends. And 4, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to compare your income to your expenses. So you've got to see if you're spending more than you're making. And if you are, you're on this kind of path sliding into debt and you want to pull yourself out of that. So that means you'll probably have to adjust, which is number 5, meaning you've got to adjust your expenses. So you're going to have to cut back on maybe the type of groceries. Maybe you can't go to Whole Foods to go get, some fluffy, expensive food. Or maybe that means you can't go out to eat with your friends every single weekend, right? And number 6 is review your budget monthly. Most people don't do this part. They'll make it, they'll download the Mint app, but they won't go back in every month at the end and check that monthly plan. Because if you're checking it, it will tell you exactly, you'll start to see patterns of your expenses and your income, and that's going to help you better prepare financially for the future. So number 4 is living above your means. And if you do the budgeting plan that we just talked about, you'll see if you've fallen into this trap. And with the advent of social media, nonstop posting daily of people's vacations and their cars and their purses and their Starbucks and everything, it seems like everyone's living this luxurious lifestyle, and we're not. But the key, guys, is if you actually want to be rich, stop pretending to be rich, because it's just draining you, and it's piling debt on top of you. So even though Samantha and Alex appear to have a luxury lifestyle, they're going on all these vacations, realize that they're probably financing those vacations and the wardrobes and the clothes and the food on credit. And I can guarantee you they're not planning or saving for a retirement in the future. So don't be like Samantha and Alex. Even though it looks flashy, in a few years it will not be flashy. So unlike your friends, take that same money that they're blowing on all that other crap and invest it back into yourself. Educate yourself. Put it towards a side hustle that you're working on. Put it towards a retirement plan or whatnot. But the key is, rather than consume so much like they are, begin to create. If you can take anything away from this point, remember, fake wealth strips you of the opportunity to achieve real wealth. I'm going to say that again. Fake wealth strips you of the opportunity to achieve real wealth. So number 3 is not building credit history. For right now, forget everything that you've heard from your mom or your dad saying credit cards are evil and they're bad. Inherently, credit cards are not bad. The way that we've been taught to use credit cards by our parents or by society is bad. But credit cards can be powerful tools, and you'll realize that as you move throughout your 20s and you want to, for example, go rent an apartment, right? Or you want to get a loan on a car, or maybe even a loan on a home. You're not going to be able to get those things if you don't have any credit. A bank's not going to want to lend money out to you because they don't know if they can trust you. They don't know. They have no way of gauging if you actually pay back on your debts. So start building a credit history right now. So I'm serious, guys. Go out this week. Go to your local bank, wherever it is, and get a credit card in your name that you can start using. Now, you don't want to just start blowing money on this credit card that you don't have. The way to use this credit card is to use it like a debit card. So only spend money that you actually have to back that credit card. So one thing that you can do is at the end of every month, and you should do this actually, the end of every single month, you need to stay diligent, very diligent about paying off that credit card with the money that's already in your account. So remember, guys, go out this week, get your credit card, because you're going to thank me as you move throughout your 20s. You're going to wish that you had listened to Trey at this moment in time to pull out a credit card and start building credit history. So seriously, go do that. It'll be very beneficial to you guys, and it's even going to teach you some skills of how to manage money and how to be financially responsible. So number 2, guys, is failing to invest early on. Now, the reason this is such a big mistake is because if you're waiting for the day until you have enough money, you're missing out on a whole lot of days where your money could be compounding. So you basically want to take the money you have right now and begin investing that, even if it doesn't seem a lot, because you have the power of compound interest. Now, let me read you a quote that's been attributed to Albert Einstein. Who knows if he said it, but he said, "Compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe." Now, the key to the power behind compound interest is time, and you can't cheat that. That's why you have to start today so that money can compound over time. Let me give you a little example from Mitchell Bloom on the power of compound interest. He says in this little example, he goes, let's say you invest $300 per month starting at age 20. And don't stop until you're 60 years old. If you managed an 8% return during that time, you'd have more than $1 million in that account alone. Now, let's say you waited until you were 30 to get started. By the time you reached 60 years old, you would only have $440,445 in your account. Those first 10 years you missed out on would cost more than $550,000 in returns, even though you only skipped $36,000 in 10 years of deposits. Guys, that's almost $500,000. That's massive amounts. So get ahead while you can. I hope you guys can kind of see in that example the power of compound interest. You'll be thankful. Your future self will look back to that past self and say, thank you for starting when you did. So start that compound interest today, guys. All right, guys, the number one mistake is avoiding risk. Now, I'm not talking here about dumb choices like, should I swan dive off this 60-foot cliff? That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is avoiding opportunities that are disguised as scary risk. Now, guys, something to think about here is as an entrepreneur, you have to realize that things don't just happen to you. You've got to be the one to make things happen if you want things to happen. I hope that makes sense for you guys, that you've got to be the one to get out there and take initiative. And even if you do mess up, it's okay. We'll talk about this more on the channel, but being young, you have an awesome advantage, especially in your 20s, because you don't have responsibilities that a lot of older people have, like, have multiple kids, have a family, have, a house payment, a car payment, all these things compounding that keep them as a barrier from taking on potential successful risk. You don't have all that. So if things go sideways for you at this age, it's totally okay. You can rebound. You'll be able to reestablish yourself. And in that process, you'll be able to figure out what works, what didn't work, why it didn't work, and how to get back into the process and get your idea off the ground. So that's my biggest mistake that I think out of all of this financially that you could ever make in your 20s is not taking risk, not taking those opportunities that are presented to yourself. You never know which opportunity presented to you might be a home run. So go out on a limb, guys, while you're young. Test out those experiments of yours. Test out those ideas. And you might be surprised. It might be the home run that you're looking for. And if it's not, like we just said, it's okay. You've got a lot of time still to figure that out and get things in order. All right, guys, I hope that video was helpful for you guys. And you guys could see some of the common traps out there that catch a lot of people in their 20s and how to avoid them. Now, if you guys like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button as well. And guys, please leave us a comment down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on what are the biggest mistakes people in their 20s make. And if you're not 20 years old, if you're older, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, leave a comment down below of when you were younger, what were the biggest mistakes that you made that you saw consequences to later on? We'd love for, a more mature audience to be able to help this younger audience in our community understand kind of these mistakes that they can avoid. See you guys later on the next video.